Hello everyone. With you, the History of Pi channel. Today, we will destroy the myth of the Moscow Kremlin. The construction of the first stone Kremlin on Borovitsky Hill began in 1367th year and was carried out for 1 year. It was built of white limestone, which was delivered from the Bal quarries, which is 50 versts from Moscow. The weight of the imported limestone exceeded 112,000 tons. By the 15th century, limestone walls were encircled, could no longer carry defensive functions. Tsar Ivan III ordered to demolish the old shabby walls and replace them with brick ones. The construction of the new walls began in 1485th year and was carried out for more than 10 years. More than 100 million half-pound bricks were used for the wall. It would take more than 1 million cart trips to deliver that many bricks. In 1508th year, an Alavizov roll was dug 36 meters wide and 8 meters deep on the territory of Red Square. Its walls and bottom were lined with brick and stone. Let's figure it out at the beginning. Let's look at the plans of the Kremlin of the 16th century. The most famous is Sigismund's Plan of Moscow, 1610th year. The plan was drawn up by Johann Gottfried and engraved by the engraver Luca Kilian, according to the privilege of the Polish and Swedish King Sigismund III. The plan depicts Moscow within the modern garden ring. It is distinguished by great accuracy, but there are no olivises of the moat on this plan. And here is another plan of the same period, compiled in the reign of Boris Godunev at the Geography of Bovian. There is an olivis of Frov on it. Some of the plans show the moat, other plans do not show it. And in our time, some alternative researchers say that the moat could not exist. Let's check if it could exist in this terrain. Now the height of the site where the grave of the unknown soldier is located is 142 meters above sea level. The center of Red Square near the mausoleum is 154 meters above sea level, and the height behind St. Basil's Cathedral is less than 130 meters above sea level. So, we have a Homa about 12 meters high, but if we dig a channel 15 meters deep, then of course the water will go from the Nonkle River to the Moscow River. Theoretically, a channel is possible. But why did a 15-meter layer of soil form on Red Square? Nobody explains this to us. Let's go back to the walls of the Kremlin. You probably think that the brick Kremlin as it is now has stood for about 500 years. But this is not the case at all. Let's see what has been rebuilt over the past 200 years. Vodosvidnaya Svibula Tower 1488th year of construction. In 1805th year, this tower, which threatened to fall, was dismantled to the foundation. In 1807th, it was built again. Tainitskaya Tower 1495th year of construction. In 1770th year, part of the Kremlin wall, where the Tainitskaya Tower stood, and 4 others were dismantled to make way for a new Kremlin palace designed by Vasily Bazanev. A few years later, Catherine II abandoned the project, and the Tainitsky Tower was erected in its former form, according to the drawings of Matvey Kazakov. Spasskaya Tower 1491st year of construction. In 1624th year, the Russian architect Bazanogurtsev and the English master of the head erected a multi-tiered top over the tower, ending with a stone tent, and installed a clock. Nikolskaya Tower 1491st year of construction. In 1812, the French, retreating from Moscow, blew up the tower. In 1816th, it was restored by the architect Ossip Ball. Now let's leave aside the official nonsense and go back to the beginning. The newly made brick Kremlin was built around 1870th year. Until the middle of the 19th century, there was no brick Kremlin, there were no towers in most of them, there were no battlements, there were no real paintings depicting the Kremlin. All the paintings and plans of the Kremlin are a throw-in made in the 19th century. And what happened then? At this place, there was a huge bastion covered with clay. Why did I decide that? We are looking at a unique photo of 1850th year. View of the Alexander Garden. What do we see? We see a palm tree in the foreground, but no one will be surprised by a palm tree in Moscow. Let's go further. Look at the wall made of white blocks. But the wall had to be rebuilt, even under Ivan III. It should be brick, and stand in this place for 400 years. Here's a modern photo of this place. And here is a photograph of 1870. Everything is as it should be, a brick wall. In 1870th year, the modern walls were built. Now let's take a walk from the historical museum to the center of Red Square. At this point, the largest filled-in area. Currently, the height difference from the grave of the unknown soldier to the mausoleum is about 12 meters. Roughly speaking, the entire Red Square is a 12-meter hall, but I think that it is filled up, not by 12, but by 18 meters. 5 meters of soil should be removed in the Alexander Garden. Here is a photo of the excavations in our time. They excavated a wall near the mausoleum. The wall goes down more than 10 meters. They did not dig further. It was called the side wall of the Olivier moat, but it is not. This is the real wall of the ancient bastion, which overlooked the Red Square. And the wall that we all know is a new model built in the 19th century. If we remove the soil from Red Square 15 meters down, we will see the ancient real wall and the underground part of St. Basil's Cathedral. But no one will do this, because the Kremlin is a symbol invented by Muscovy, and it must have an original face. And it should not look like a star fortress or a European bastion in any way. And here is the view from the side of the Moscow River. This section of the wall did not exist until the 19th century. Here's a look at the slope behind the wall. This slope is the bastion wall. It was slightly sprinkled with soil or stripped of all the old cladding so that no one would have the idea that there was a wall there. And this is the view from the other side. All the lower towers were built, and behind the tower we can see the slope of the former wall. So I made a small mock-up of the Kremlin. Not the Kremlin of the old bastion, as it actually looked before the filling. And this one is already sprinkled with soil. So we are all being deceived. We have never had such a Kremlin. We had an old bastion, which was hidden by brick walls. That's it. Watch my channel.